Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Aditi and in this video I will be discussing the first topic in the chapter Modules, Packages and Libraries in Python. The first topic is Modules in Python. So these are all the different topics that will be covered in this video. We will be starting off with what is modular programming. We will then look into what exactly a module is. We will see the various advantages of modularizing codes. We will understand how to create a module in Python. We will understand how to call a module in Python. We will see the Python module search path. We will see how to reload a module. We will look at the dir built-in function. And lastly, getting help on modules. So without further ado, let us get started with the first topic, that is, what is modular programming? Modular programming refers to the process of breaking a large, unwieldy programming task into separate, smaller, more manageable subtasks or modules. Unwieldy refers to a task that is cumbersome, or you can say unmanageable. One of the most important concepts of programming is the ability to group some lines of code into a unit that can be later included in our program. The original term for such a unit was a subprogram. Other names are macro, subroutine, procedure, function, and in this case, module. Individual modules can then be brought together like building blocks to create a larger application. So some programs might have thousands or millions of lines, and to manage such programs, it becomes quite difficult as there might be many syntax errors or logical errors that are present in the program. So in order to manage such type of programs, we have the modular programming approach or concept. In order to understand this approach better, let us look at a simple block diagram here. Suppose, let's say we want to create a program to show the functionality of a calculator. Instead of writing the whole code in one Python file, we can write the code for addition in one Python file, subtraction in another Python file, multiplication in yet another Python file, and division in another Python file. All these files are now called modules. We can then call these different modules onto the main calculator program. So we have seen that the functionality of the calculator was divided into 4 different subtasks or modules, which were the building blocks of the main program. Moving on to what exactly a module is. What is a module? In programming, a module is a piece of software that has a specific functionality. Actually, any text file with the .py extension containing Python code is basically a module. Different Python objects such as functions, classes, variables, constants, etc. defined in one module can be made available to an interpreter session or another Python script by using the import statement, which we will look into just a little while later. A Python module can be defined as a Python program file which contains a Python code, including Python functions, classes, or variables. In other words, we can say that our Python code file saved with the extension .py is treated as the module. We may have a runnable code inside the Python module. Modules in Python provides us the flexibility to organize the code in a logical way. There are different kinds of modules. We can have user-defined modules, and we can also have built-in modules. There are many built-in modules, and we will look at some of them in the libraries topic of the same chapter. Moving on to the advantages of modularizing codes. There are several advantages to modularizing codes. And a few of those advantages are simplicity. So rather than focusing on the entire problem at hand, a module typically focuses on one relatively small portion of the problem. If you're working on a single module, you'll have a smaller problem domain to wrap your head around. So this will make development easier and it'll make the whole code less prone to errors. Then there is maintainability. So modules are typically designed so that they enforce logical boundaries between different problem domains. You may even be able to make changes to a module without having any knowledge of the application outside that module. So this makes it more viable for a team of many programmers to work collaboratively on a large application. Then there is reusability. Reusability is probably one of the most advantageous things about modularizing codes. Functionality defined in a single module can be easily reused by other parts of the application. So this will eliminate the need to duplicate code. So suppose there is a set of code that we want to call over and over again in a program. Instead of simply writing those few lines of code again and again and adding extra lines to the entire program, we can simply call a module which has the function with the necessary code that we want to implement in our program, and we can just use that wherever we want to use that function. So we can reuse that particular function anywhere we want. So that is the major advantage of modularizing codes. So it reduces the number of lines of our code. Next, let us understand how to create a module in Python. Simply writing a Python code in a file is how we can create a module. It is as simple as that. To keep things modular, we will define functions to perform various operations. Let us look at the calculator example that we discussed earlier. But here we will consider only two operations. We will consider only addition and subtraction to make things easier. So write the small piece of code and we can store it in a Python file which is named mod1. So this is basically a module now. So in this module we have two functions. We have add and subtract. So using the def keyword we have defined two functions, and this add function will return the sum of the two numbers that are given to the function, and the sub function will return the difference of the two numbers that are given to the function. Now, in order to make use of the functions that are present in this module, make sure that the code, whatever you write, is stored in a file that is in the same directory as the module which you want to import. We will look into the Python search path a little while later, but for now, let us just store this Python file in the same directory as the one which you want to import into your current file. You will be importing the module which you want to use in your current program using the import keyword. So import mod1 will import the entire module into your program. So you can use whatever functions that are there in module 1 in your program. So this is a pretty simple program to just add and subtract two numbers. So 20 has been assigned to A, 30 has been assigned to B. So sum equals, see, this is how you call the function from this particular module. So this module, that is mod1 dot add of A comma B. So this function will be preceded by the module from which it is being imported. So mod1 dot add of A comma B. There are other ways of calling the functions which we will look into in the next slide. But if you import it in this way, if you say import mod1, you will have to call the function in this way. So sum equals mod1 dot add of A comma B, difference equals mod1 dot sub of A comma B. Then you print the sum and differences. So 20 plus 30 is 50 and 20 minus 30 is minus 10. Now let us look at some other ways of calling functions from modules. Let us take the case where, suppose there are, now you have addition and subtraction, right? You have two operations in the module mod1. Suppose you don't want to use subtraction, you want to use only addition. So now you'll think, why should I import the entire module if I need only one function from the module? So what do you do in that case? You do this. From is a keyword. So from this module, I want to import this function. So from mod1, which is the name of the module, import add function. So these two are keywords which are necessary in this way of calling functions from modules. So print program to add two numbers. You'll be again assigning 20 to A, 30 to B. Now suppose you import the module or the function in this manner. You don't have to precede this function call with the name of the module. You can simply say sum equals add of A comma B. You can simply use the function name directly. You don't need to say mod1 dot add of A comma B. You can simply say this. And then you'll be printing the sum. So you can see sum is 50. So add does not proceed with the name of the module in this imported form because we have specified the module in the import command. So that is one major thing to remember. Now coming to the next way of importing functions from modules, you can say from mod1 import asterisk C. In this way, you will be importing all the functions that are present in mod1. So both addition and subtraction will be imported from mod1. So again, the same way, 20 will be assigned to A, 30 will be assigned to B. Sum in this way, again, you're not mentioning the name of the module. You're directly calling the function. You're saying add of A comma B and sub of A comma B. You're not saying mod1 dot add of A comma B or mod1 dot sub of A comma B. This is one advantage. You might ask, like, what is the difference between import mod1 and this method from mod1 import asterisk? Because both of them imported all the functions from the module. The difference is the name is not being added here. Does that make a difference? Yes, it does. The advantage of this notation is that it is easier to use the functions inside the current module because you don't need to specify which module the function came from. So suppose you want to import many modules and there are multiple functions in each module and you don't remember which function belongs to which module, you can simply use this method and call the function directly. Okay, it is quite impossible in large codes to remember which function is in which module. So this is an easier way to do it. That being said, there is also a slight risk in this method. Changes in the module might affect the module which imports it, but it is shorter and also does not require you to specify objects you wish to import from the module. Let us look at the Python module search path. So when you import a module, the Python interpreter searches for the module in the following sequence. First, the Python interpreter will search for the module in the current directory. Meaning the Python interpreter tries to locate the module in the current working directory. Then if it doesn't find it there, it'll move on to Python path, which is an environmental variable with a list of directories. And if everything fails, then Python checks the default path, which is a installation default directory. So this is the search path of Python. Now let us understand how to reload a module. The Python interpreter imports a module only once during a session. This makes things more efficient. Here is an example to show how this works. So for example, if, this is one line of code that has been stored in a module which is named my_module. There is only one line of code which is a print statement saying this code got executed. So this is stored in a module called my_module. Now let us see the effect of multiple imports of this module. If you see this figure, you can see that the code got executed only in the first import of the module. So you said import my_module and you saw the print statement getting executed over here. But when you said import my_module again and for the third time, you see that it's not getting executed these two times. So we can see that our code got executed only once. This goes to say that our module was imported only once. Now if our module changed during the course of the program, we would have to reload it. Now, one way to reload the module is to restart the interpreter, but this does not help much. So in order to do so, Python actually provides a much more efficient way of doing this. There is a function to do this, and that function is called reload. We can use the reload function. Now this function is present inside a module called imp. Okay, so we can use the reload function inside the imp module to reload a module. So this is how you do it. So we can do it in the following way. First, you have to import the imp module, import imp. Then import the module whose code you want to execute. So import my_module. So this was the first import, so this code got executed. Now the second time when you import my_module, the code does not get executed. So if you want to reload that module and make the code get executed for the second time, you can say imp dot, because imp is a module, dot reload, which is a function of this module, and pass my module as an argument to this function. So imp dot reload of my_module will reload the module and the code will get executed again. So this is how you reload a module in an efficient way. Moving on to the dir built-in function. You can use the dir function to know the names and attributes of a module. dir is a powerful inbuilt function in Python 3 which returns a list of attributes and methods of any object. Say it can be functions, modules, strings, lists, dictionaries, anything. So the dir built-in function returns a sorted list of strings containing the names defined by a module. The list contains the names of all the modules, variables, and functions that are defined in a module. So this is a simple example to show how the dir function works. In this case, we are trying to see what the content of the math module is. Math module is a built-in module that is present in the standard library of Python. We will look at an example of that in a later video of the same chapter. So you are importing math, the built-in module, import math, and you're assigning dir of math to a variable called content. So when you print content, you're basically printing the content of the math module, meaning whatever is present in the math module gets printed. So you can see the different functions and variables and modules that are present in the math module using the dir built-in function. Another way to see what a module constitutes is by using the help function. So this is the last topic, getting help on modules. The Python help function is used to display the documentation of modules, functions, classes, keywords, etc. Help function output can also be defined for user-defined functions and classes. The help function is used for interactive use. It is recommended to try it in your interpreter when you need help to write Python programs or use Python modules. So use the help function to know the methods and properties of a module. For example, call help of math in double quotes. Inside the parentheses, help of math to know about the math module. But this is in case you have not imported the module. In case you have already imported the module, you can just provide the name without the double quotes. Just the name inside the parentheses. So help of math. So if you do this, you will get the information about the module. So you'll get the name of the module, you'll get the description, and you'll also get the various functions that are present in the module. So that completes the modules in Python topic of the chapter modules, packages, and libraries in Python. I hope you now have a fair idea about the topic. We will also be discussing packages and libraries of Python in this chapter. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.